Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Berkakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops, the elders of GMF, the royal peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Kaigon. The title of this video is, but I will remove far off from you the Northern Army. Right, what this is going into is America, making their way over there to what the world calls the Middle East for war, right, for World War III. Now, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do, as the saying goes. All right, because they will go to, they will go to war. All right, this is Psalms 55 and 20, because America is telling you, yeah, we're trying to work out a peace deal. And everyone's talking about peace, but it's all lies. All right, and as a matter of fact, it just made me think of this one video I was just checking out over this dude, that I just followed. I probably just play a look at his video too, because he goes into talking about the greater Israel and whatnot, so
basically an arrogant.
So I was just watching this video. All right, and I'll probably play a little bit of this video too. But in this video, he basically says, you'll be a fool to think that Israel is not going to try to achieve the greater Israel project. So this is Psalms 55 and 20. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as he had peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth, words smoother than butter, or war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet with drawn swords. So pretty much, in the beginning, I would say these devils came out saying, we want peace, we want a diplomatic way to do it. But now you see towards the end here, Trump is like saying things like, I'll obliterate Iran, or their civilization won't exist anymore. He'll bomb the whole peace meeting that they had. Things like that is what these devils are saying now. This is Isaiah 32. And starting at 5, verse 5, it said, the vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to the doctor. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will break iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, Yahweh, Bashan, to make empty the souls of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to faint. The instruments also the true are evil. He devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak right. Right, so the horns of these devils are being shown in these last days, and that goes into the shameful feeling that's being put on the Lord. Right, the Most High Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, is exposing these devils to public people, right, and letting it be known who they really are, as Isaiah 47, goes into. All right, so let me play a little bit of this, probably like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, please hit the PayPal. 29 June 2026. As you can see, the United States is moving into position to probably do some significant military action in the Middle East.
And actually, hey, that goes right along with my title, which we'll get in Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But as he just said, the Middle East, he said America is looking to do something because there's a lot of movement. And I'll grab it right now. Joel 2 and 20 says, but I will remove far off from you the northern army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with its face toward the east sea. Right, the east sea is going into, what is the Euphrates? All right, and then in his inner part toward the utmost sea, which goes into the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Right, because America's going to go over there. The American soldiers are going to go over there and die. Every soldier over there is going to die, because this World War III is going to get nuclear. And on top of that, our Lord Yahweh Shai pulls up, pursuant to 2nd Esdras 13, in the midst of this war. Right, and it says, which I'll grab it. 2nd Esdras 13. Now I get to the point. You can read it or ask a question in the comment section. Just Starting at verse 8. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 8. It says, and after this, I beheld, and lo, all they which gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet there's a fight. So a lot of soldiers are going to be over there in the Middle East, and our Lord Yahushua pulls up. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that it sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips he flamed breath. Now at his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest. Now these he pulls up with cherubims, right? The vehicles of the Yahweh Yahushua, right? And from these vehicles, they're going to be shooting beams of fire. Okay, that's what it's talking about. It says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. See, so it's going to be a lot of soldiers over in the Middle East. You know, it says innumerable, you know, a great host, which goes, of course, into Armageddon. You know, which I'll probably get next. Revelation 28 says, Revelation 27. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall produce out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are on the full foot of the earth, God and God, to gather them together to battle. The number of whom is at the sand and sea. So the number of whom is at the sand and sea is based on that innumerable. You can't remember, it's so many soldiers, you know. Revelations 16. And right, Armageddon, right? Which Armageddon goes into the mountain of troops. There's a lot of troops, you know, which I'll grab it before I read it real quick. Armageddon, right? Armageddon, all right? It says, but I have to get it on Google. All right, so we got Hill Mountain from the root, all right? Of Hebrew origin, all right, because we're in the New Testament, and that's what this was translated from the Greek, right? But everything goes back to the Hebrew, that's the original language. So then we have here place of crowds. So it's the mountain of troops, all right? A lot of people, basically. Revelation 16 and 13 says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like claws come out of the mouth of the dragon, right, which goes into, you know, Rome, US, right, and out of the mouth of the beast, which goes into like NATO, right, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, which goes to the Roman Catholic Church, but it's the whole system, you know, of America, right, the whole system. It says, for they are the spirits of devils, right, working miracles, which go forth through the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Yahweh Yahushua Almighty, right? And that great day and that great battle is World War III when Yahushua goes up and does away with the armies over there. Say, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments. These he walk naked and they see ashamed. What is going to rehearsing righteous acts, you know, getting to the word, right? That's keeping your garment, right? Says, and he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, right? Which is mountain of troops. A lot of troops, you know, in Nubal. Okay. So, you know, that goes to that Joel 2:20 also, but it's been
29 June 2026. As you can see, the United States is moving into position to probably do some significant military action in the Middle East. Full moon's upon us, strawberry moon. This is it. I think they're going to go for it. I've said all along, there are no peace talks not credible, and anybody who's talking about peace talks is not worth listening to. And now you see why.
Hey, well, shoot. I had this other video queued up, which I'll stay further to that, but First Thessalonians 5:3 says, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as to put upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. All right. So we know when they say peace and safety, we know it's bullshit,
29 June 2026. As you can see, the United States is moving into position to probably do some significant military action in the Middle East. Full moon's upon us, strawberry moon. This is it. I think they're going to go for it. I've said all along, there are no peace talks, not credible, and anybody who's talking about peace talks is not worth listening to. And now you see why. I think a lot of people already knew why. This is not about peace. This is going to really blow up, is my view. Now, I would not be surprised to see that this is going to go differently than people expect.
So I just searched it up. It says full moon in June 2026, traditionally known as the strawberry moon, peaked on Monday, June 29th. It was a unique lunar event as it occurred close to the summer solstice, making it the lowest annual full moon of the year in the northern hemisphere.
Iran is only one of the targets. The Gulf states are as well. United States, let's just say, Trump and his ecosystem are Zionists. They work for the Zionists. They are actually Zionists, so they work for themselves. They're Zionists. And the Zionists want to make the greater Israel. That's part of their plan. And the greater Israel will include taking all of Jordan, most of Syria, all of Lebanon, all of Egypt, and a lot more. And a significant part of Saudi Arabia, so and more. So we're talking, a good fair chunk of land, and they're clear about this. The maps are drawn, and Netanyahu has showed them in public himself. This is no conspiracy whatsoever. Not one grain of dust is taken beyond what they've actually said that they want to do and are clearly doing. Iran is only one of the targets. And now I think what we're going to see is there will be a lot more war, and we'll end up with the famines I've been talking about since 2020. And eventually they're going to go for, I say they, Zionists will go openly for Turkey. They'll go openly for Egypt, go openly for a lot of places that you might not expect, but they'll want to take Saudi Arabia, or a big chunk of it, and they'll want to take, again, all of Jordan, all of Lebanon, most of Syria, and just a lot more, and a big chunk of Iraq as well. And this is why you may have heard me say numerous times, I would not be surprised, although I'm not predicting that it'll happen, I would not be surprised to see eventually that Mosul Dam gets attacked by actually Zionists. I don't know if they're going to do that, if that's in their ballpark. I'm sure they've thought a lot about it. They could easily take out Mosul Dam, which would destroy that would be devastating for Iraq. I first wrote about this in maybe 2006 or 2005. And, I spent a lot of time in Mosul, and at that point, Mosul Dam got on my radar screen. But again, Iran is not the only target over there. Basically, all the countries are targets. And this will eventually, in my view, widen out to Turkey. It'll also widen out more into Europe. You see now the heat wave sweeping across Europe, and the air conditioners are off and all that. Now, keep in mind, in some places, August often is a big month for flare-ups, partly because it's so hot. And of course, we'll have a barley moon or a sturgeon moon in August. Often, always pay attention to that moon. It's not like everything always happens around the moon, but the moon is, and I'm not saying this because of lunacy or that sort of thing.
All right, so you can check this video out. All right, but he basically says, that Israel, the Zionists, are going to do what they planned out to do, which is go to war and try to take that land, right? Which is going to, basically equate to World War III, right? Because Russia, the Songs of 638, right, it's gonna have to do damage because for one, they have BRICS, right? You have Russia and China, and if Iran falls, like Venezuela fell, their plans for BRICS and whatnot are toppling down, and Russia believes they will be next on the menu after Iran, so Russia's going to enter, and at the same time, things are heating up with Russia and NATO.
In recent weeks, there has been a very large, and according to a recent report, the largest movement of strategic assets of the United States since the Iraq War. And some even said that it's even bigger than the Iraq War. Tehran Times reported that the United States is currently conducting the largest logistical operation in its history. And this 30-second video here shows the American logistical air activity in West Asia over the past 7 days only, accelerated by 20,000 times. At the same time, this activity continues around the clock for 76 days. We are talking about the largest aerial supply operation in American military history, which exceeds the scale of the 2003 Iraq War. This level of cargo transport far surpasses routine supply replenishment. All American strategic warehouses in the region are almost fully stocked and continue to reach their maximum capacity. The US military is not spending billions of dollars on empty threats or show-off maneuvers. All of this indicates readiness for a preemptive strike and possibly the start of a ground operation. How is this in line with the MOU? That's a very important question, because the MOU states that the United States during this period should not increase the number of US forces in the region. However, the United States is doing exactly that unless the meaning of forces was left unexplained or ambiguous deliberately, and there was a gap there. If the United States is conducting such a large-scale logistical operation, they're doing it for Iran. They're not doing it for anyone else, especially if the deployment is in the region of West Asia. Therefore, this leads us to believe, to a large extent, that the intentions are not really towards peace and towards de-escalation from the American administration. If they're doing all of this now, with the recent Israeli escalations in Lebanon, Netanyahu's declaration of victory, in essence, that was to a level theatrical to support his campaign in Israel. Both countries don't appear to be looking for any sort of de-escalation happening there. So we have the American side escalating and increasing its forces in the largest level, even more than the Iraq War. That it will undeniably be against Iran. And we have Israel breaching in Lebanon, with the Lebanese government being, in essence, complicit with what it's doing. So what are they going to do, both Israel and the United States? Will they break the MOU? Will Iran, or will they consider what Iran is doing now and then its response breaking the MOU? Because it was clearly them breaking it. There was a statement coming from a key Netanyahu ally, a minister in the Israeli government, who said the following about Iran and its enriched uranium and what Israel is planning. Minister Miki Zohar said that if Iran does not hand over the uranium, we will go to war. They will go and attack Iran if they don't hand the uranium. Handing the uranium wasn't on the table.
All right, so you can check this video out too. But the point of those troops movement, the troop movement is like they say, omnipresent, bigger than Iraq. So and let me grab this thing. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful truth. Fear not the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity which is unbelief of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord Yahweh, watch now, shall bring plagues upon the world, sword, famine, and death, and destruction. So that's what's about to go down. All right, Lord willing, we edify the lesson, shalom, to the home for elect, Christian sister, women, children, shalom.